The transport ship's cargo bay reeked of fear and desperation. Captain Sarah Chen pressed her back against the cold metal wall, watching as the hegemony guards herded the last of Earth's diplomatic envoys into formation. Their insectoid forms clicked and chittered as they moved, plasma rifles gleaming under the harsh fluorescent lights. "Kneel," the lead guard commanded, its translator rendering the alien words into cold, mechanical English. "Present yourselves for judgment before the High Tribunal." One by one, the diplomats dropped to their knees. Ambassador Williams, Secretary Hayes, even the stoic General Morrison, all of them bowed their heads in submission before their captors. The message had been clear since Earth's first contact with the hegemony 6 months ago. Comply or face. Extinction. Sarah remained standing, the lead guard's compound eyes fixed on her, multifaceted and unreadable. It raised its weapon, the plasma coils beginning to glow with deadly energy. "Human, you will kneel." "No," Sarah said quietly. A ripple of movement went through the alien ranks. Several guards shifted nervously, their chittering becoming more agitated. The lead guard took a step forward, its weapon now fully charged. "You misunderstand the gravity of your situation, human. Your species has been deemed inferior. Your planet is forfeit. Your people will serve as laborers in the outer colonies. Kneel, and perhaps your death will be swift." Sarah looked at the faces of her fellow humans, terror, resignation, defeat written across everyone. They had come here believing they could negotiate, could find some peaceful solution to humanity's first contact with an alien civilization. Instead, they had walked into a trap. But Sarah had learned something during her years as a xenoarchaeologist, something that might change everything. She had studied the fragments of ancient civilizations scattered across the galaxy, had pieced together clues that others had missed. The hegemony wasn't the first galactic empire, it was merely the latest in a long line of would-be conquerors, and every single one of them had eventually faced the same reckoning. "Before I kneel," Sarah said, her voice carrying clearly through the cargo bay. "I have a question." The lead guard's weapon wavered slightly. "Speak quickly, human." Sarah straightened, meeting the alien's gaze directly. "Tell me about the progenitors." The effect was instantaneous and electric. Every guard in the bay went rigid, their weapons suddenly forgotten. The lead guard's compound eyes seemed to dim, and when it spoke, its voice had lost all its commanding authority. You know of them?" "I know more than you might think," Sarah continued, her confidence growing as she watched the alien's reaction. "I know they left markers throughout the galaxy, warning beacons, tests. I know that every species that has tried to build an empire through conquest and subjugation has eventually encountered one of those tests." She gestured around the cargo bay, at the trembling diplomats and the now uncertain guards. "And I know what happens to those who fail." The lead guard lowered its weapon completely. Behind it, the other guards were clicking frantically among themselves, their formation beginning to break down. Ambassador Williams looked up from his kneeling position, hope beginning to kindle in his eyes. "The markers," the guard whispered. "Your species has found one of the markers?" Sarah smiled grimly. "3 of them, actually, hidden in the ruins of civilizations that came before you. Civilizations that thought they could rule the galaxy through force." She paused, letting the implications sink in. "Civilizations that no longer exist." The silence in the cargo bay was deafening. Sarah could hear the hum of the ship's engines, the whisper of recycled air through the vents, but not a single sound from the guards who had been so confident just moments before. "The progenitor's final message was very clear," Sarah continued. "Any species that achieves spaceflight will eventually be tested. Not by them, they're long gone, but by their automated systems. Systems designed to identify civilizations that might threaten the innocent. Systems that have been watching, waiting, judging." She took a step forward, and remarkably, the lead guard took a step back. "Do you know what triggers the test?" Sarah asked. What causes those ancient machines to wake up and take notice? The guard's translator remained silent, but Sarah could see the answer in its posture, in the way its hands trembled as it held its now useless weapon. Conquest, she said simply. The systematic subjugation of other intelligent species. The hegemony has been painting a target on itself with every world it has taken, every people it has enslaved. Ambassador Williams slowly rose to his feet, followed by the other diplomats. The guards made no move to stop them. The markers we found contained more than just warnings, Sarah pressed on. They contained coordinates, activation codes, and a very simple message. When you are ready to serve justice, speak this word. She reached into her jacket and withdrew a small device. Nothing more than a standard communicator. But the guards didn't know that. They saw only a piece of unknown human technology, possibly connected to the ancient systems they feared above all else. Sarah looked directly at the lead guard, then spoke a single word in the progenitor's ancient language, a word she had spent months learning to pronounce correctly from the archaeological recordings. Keth Morai. Judgment. The communicator beeped, a simple acknowledgement tone that every human device made. But to the aliens, it sounded like the voice of gods long dead. The lead guard dropped its weapon with a clatter that echoed through the cargo bay. Behind it, the other guards were doing the same, their compound eyes wide with terror. "Please," the lead guard whispered, its translator barely functioning. We did not know humans were chosen as instruments of their will." Sarah kept her expression carefully neutral. "The hegemony has been given this chance to choose differently, to abandon conquest, to free the worlds you have taken." She held up the communicator. "This device is now active. The progenitor's automated systems are watching. What happens next is up to you." The lie came easily, born of necessity and desperation. But as she watched the aliens scramble to release their prisoners, to send messages back to their fleet calling off the invasion of Earth, Sarah realized that sometimes the most important truths were the ones that prevented greater tragedies. The word had been enough. One word, spoken with the weight of ancient authority behind it, had changed everything. Keth Morai judgment had indeed come to the hegemony, not from long-dead aliens, but from humanity's greatest strength, the ability to learn, to adapt, and to use knowledge as the most powerful weapon of all.